Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was originally released in arcades back in 1989, and subsequently had a follow-up sequel called Turtles in Time arrive to arcades a few short years later in 1991. Both titles being loosely based off the smash hit Ninja Turtles animated television series that was out during this time. Though video game makers Konami were originally responsible for these games' creation, turtle rights have since been sold off to Nickelodeon. You'll find various Nickelodeon logos splashed on the cabinet artwork, and the only mentions of Konami you'll see any longer are during the game's startup title sequences. Since their initial product offerings last summer, Arcade1Up has continued to work to improve all aspects of products they issue out to their fanbase, making great strides to not only improve the quality of the controls and components offered in these machines, but also improving upon the way these units are packaged and boxed up. I'm very happy to say that this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cabinet is a shining example of Arcade1Up's continued dedication towards ensuring the best quality product at this price point. Aside from the improvements seen in the internal packaging, the actual cabinet itself boasts several new features not seen in the majority of previous releases from Arcade1Up. This unit features a brighter, more vibrant LCD screen with better viewing angles and a higher nit rating, and overall a much better display in general. You'll also notice that the display screen angle on this machine has been adjusted back with a more tilted and recessed viewing angle. This allows for a much more natural and pleasant gaming experience for those of us that choose to play with their unit on a riser, as previous generation machines would sometimes cause the player to careen their neck downwards while playing, depending on the player's respective height, of course. Speaking of risers, this unit comes bundled with a customized graphic riser in the box that matches the classic cabinet artwork stylings of the cabinet's side art. Not only does this included graphic riser increase the looks of this arcade, it also doubles to raise up the cabinet control panel to the same height of its original full-size arcade counterpart. This 4-player control panel is the first of its kind from Arcade1Up, and I have to say I'm very happy with how it turned out. The control panel itself measures 31.5 inches wide, which causes this unit to take up a little more real estate on each end of the cabinet. So keep that in mind should you wish to park this cabinet next to other units, or wish to nestle it in the corner of your home somewhere. Players have the ability to choose any one of the 4-player joysticks they wish. However, depending on the joystick you choose to play on, you are forced to use that respective turtle. Meaning if you wish to play as Raphael, you are restricted into only playing into the corner spot showing Raphael's respective player icon, and you aren't able to choose your own turtle in the turtle select screen during the start of the game. The joysticks and buttons themselves are the same ones used in some of the more recent releases from Arcade1Up, last seen on the Mortal Kombat and Final Fight cabinets respectively. You'll quickly notice that the joysticks have ball tops instead of bat tops, as the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade cabinet used Wico joysticks that had ball tops. While these components are not name brand, their design is modeled in the same vein as Sanwa. Should you wish, you could actually swap out the Sanwa OEM accessories such as 2 or 4 pound springs and octagonal restrictor gates. But seeing as the titles on this machine are not of the fighting game genre, those types of upgrades would likely be overkill for the majority of gamers playing this machine. One of the most exciting new features of this cabinet is its inclusion of the adjustable volume slider. This is one of the many new features that we'll see in future releases moving forward from Arcade1Up. Simply hold the slider to the left to lower gameplay volume, or push it to the right to gradually increase the volume. And while you're adjusting the volume of the unit, you may also notice that this cabinet features dual stereo speakers tucked away underneath the marquee. No longer restricted to a single speaker hidden inside the control panel, this new dual speaker design not only brings a noticeable improvement to gameplay sound, but it also brings this Arcade1Up cabinet design much more in line with what was seen on the original full-size Turtle cabinets. Both arcade classics play exceptionally well and are sure to flood you with an overwhelming amount of nostalgia as you select your favorite turtle and battle the hordes of enemies that stand in your way. These titles both play exceptionally well, but I did notice a few emulation slowdown issues. Namely, when 4 players were playing and there were lots of enemies on the screen at once, the game would sometimes get bogged down for a moment before catching back up and playing at full speed again. I found this to be very intermittent and not a major hindrance to the gameplay experience overall. Interestingly enough though, Arcade1Up has added some additional gameplay control options not seen in the arcades that I thought were very neat features. As noted here in the instruction manual, if you hold down each of the player's start buttons for 5 seconds, you will initialize a hidden feature. Holding Leo down for 5 seconds resets the game back to the menu. Holding Michelangelo's start button will reset the game. Donatello's start button will allow you to skip back to the beginning of the level you're on. And Raphael's start button will allow you to skip forward a level when held down for 5 seconds. These commands work on both of the Ninja Turtle games on this cabinet. With each game taking roughly 30 to 40 minutes apiece to complete, you and your friends are sure to have an excellent time during your next get-together as you gather around the cabinet for some turtle power. And speaking of friends, of course, the million-dollar question that everybody's asking about this cabinet is, can you actually get 4 adults on this control panel comfortably? Well, I decided to take the cabinet on a little bit of a field trip to my gym and answer that question once and for all. As you can tell from the footage, it is more than possible to have 4 grown adults playing on this machine comfortably. Granted, none of these gentlemen are the size of professional football stars, but regardless, there is still ample room to dive in and kick some of that Foot Clan butt. So final thoughts time. What do I think about the $399 retail price? Quite frankly, I think it's actually worth every penny. You're getting a custom graphic riser that has really good graphic details. It's got a nice glossy finish to it and it looks really great. It's got the green pinstriping and T-molding, and the control panel itself actually has real authentic arcade T-molding, which is very unique and a very cool plus added feature. The 4-player control panel, it fits 4 players comfortably in my opinion, for regular sized adults. The controls are adequate. The speakers, the dual speakers, sound actually much better than I anticipated. Having got to play this earlier this summer at E3, I wasn't actually able to really kind of tune into the audio quality at E3 because there's just so much noise going on in the background. But having this dedicated sitting here in my house with a quiet ambiance going on, I can actually appreciate the quality of these speakers. Now, if you don't like these speakers, it's a very simple remedy. You can actually just kind of swap these out. The inclusion of that 3.5mm jack on the back of the PCB board makes this very easy for you to swap in different speakers should you wish to do that. And quite frankly, there's only one thing I would actually change about this arcade cabinet, and that is the fact that it doesn't come with an included light-up marquee. Now, we know Arcade1Up has been slowly releasing these for different releases. We've got the Star Wars cabinet that has a light-up marquee. We've got the special edition Marvel Superheroes cabinet, as well as some Costco bundles with Mortal Kombat and Pac-Man, and Golden Tee, of course, all including a light-up marquee. And since this doesn't come with a light-up marquee, that's a very simple remedy. In fact, there's lots of great third-party companies out there offering various different options with the light-up marquees. If you're one of the people that got one of the first earlier generations of these light-up marquees, you will have to slightly modify that marquee should you wish to put it on this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cabinet or any of these new Arcade1Up cabinets that have the dual speaker setup. It's a very simple modification. You simply just have to drill 2 new holes. But regardless, if you don't want to drill new holes, there's actually a new 3rd generation light-up marquee being offered now. I'm actually going to go ahead and install it right now because I had to go ahead and get this just because I wanted to see how it compared to the older generation marquees. Another one of the great features of this arcade cabinet is that it actually does save your high scores, so even after you've turned off the power or you've unplugged your machine, it'll still save your initials on the name board. And that wraps it up for this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Arcade1Up cabinet review. I appreciate everyone for tuning in and watching. If you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you'll be the first to know every time I upload new content. And as always, thanks for watching, guys.